Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 99, Grammatically Ambiguous, recorded on Friday, the 18th of June, 2020. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the news.
Not a lot of news this week. We've had slow news weeks, but this is probably the slowest we've ever had in the world of Zoho, but we'll jump into it here. So kind of big, if you are a spreadsheet user, Zoho Sheet has had all kinds of improvements recently, and they've added all kinds of custom functions to their spreadsheet software that other sheets don't have, but they've been missing one of the key ones, which is import range. And so now they have this import range function. It's finally there, and if you're a spreadsheet user, this is a pretty big thing.
Yeah, and this will basically allow you to pull in a set of parameters or a cell range from a different sheet in your spreadsheet,
or just a different area.
Yeah, or just even a different area. So you're able to basically reference out to that data set inside of exactly where you're working.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff all the way around. It's something that they've needed, and I'm a big fan of Zoho Sheet. I think it's great. It's one of those things where, as I look at the other spreadsheet software out there, nothing will probably ever be as good as Excel, but I do think Zoho Sheet is as good as Google Sheets. I think it's great and does the job.
Yeah, especially with some of the little UI things like the pick list update that they rolled out a couple months back. That's a lot of those little kind of ease of use tools inside of Zoho Sheet that are unique. Yeah,
they've got animated bar graph. They're doing all kinds of things that are just really, really nice. It's good. That whole Office suite, with the exception of Calendar, is solid. It's good. All right, and then let's take a look at Zoho Cliq. They have an article that's got a roundup of all of the updates in 2020. And, I thought we'd covered most of these, Tyler. They got the remote work. That's a big one. But what I wasn't aware of is the number of new, like what I would call right-click enhancements that they've added into Zoho Cliq. And I guess I just had not seen these. So I was really happy to see this article. It's got things like, right-click on a conversation and mark all the chats as read or unread. They've got another right-click enhancement where you can do a private reply. I had not seen that in a group chat before.
Oh, nice. So we can be in the team channel and talking behind your back at the same time.
Well, I know. Now, normally you guys just have a whole separate Cliq conversation going for that. But now you can live life on the edge and hope that it works. But anyway, this is a pretty nice roundup, and Cliq is just getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I mean, we say it every time, but there's a tool that we use day in and day out for all of our chat, internal meetings, and, what have you.
Yeah, another thing, too, we probably need to catalog these. I know we've talked about this, but this is really something I'd like the web team to do, is the whole what's new pages. They've been starting to roll these out for various applications. So this is the What's New in Cliq page, and it looks like they're going back all the way to 2017 with this. Must have been when they started it in September. So you can kind of go back and see every single improvement they've made along the way. I know they've had this for CRM as well, but good stuff all the way. And I love Cliq. I think it's right there with Slack. Definitely better than Microsoft Teams in a lot of ways, and I'm just so happy to see them continually improve it.
Absolutely.
And then for our last story, Zoho Recruit has added in improved homepage dashboard. And if I took a look at this article, it looks very much like they've kind of copied what's going on inside the CRM, which makes an awful lot of sense, since Zoho Recruit really is just kind of a version of CRM.
Yep. Yeah, and these are nice. They basically allow you to create different list views, custom views, KPIs, and chart components, and create custom homepage dashboards. And then, similar to how they have it set up in the CRM, you can set up different roles in Recruit and assign each role to a dashboard, right? So if you have someone who's responsible for sourcing all of your potential candidates, maybe they see statistics about that. Then if you have some people that are responsible for interviewing candidates, they would see a different view, which is more centered around statistics, regarding those interviews.
Yeah, so good stuff there. Nice to see them roll that out. It's really, as Zoho Recruit is a great application, And it's actually one of our favorites. It works extremely well. And basically, this is something that needed to be in there. And again, continued improvement. And that is it for news. So let's move straight on into the implementation of the week, Tyler.
Yes, this was an implementation here regarding a little integration with Zoho Forms, Zoho CRM, and Shopify. So basically, we had a client who wanted to have a little sign-up page on their Shopify account to have different distributors or vendors sign up. But one of the issues they were running into is that in Shopify, you're a little bit limited in terms of what types of fields or information points you can gather through Shopify Forms and then store inside of a Shopify customer account. It's just not quite as customizable as in the CRM. So what we did is we built out a custom Zoho form, which you can take an iframe or source code and embed on any website you'd like. And we built out the form to capture all the information that they'll need to be able to approve or deny a specific distributor application. And basically the way that the integration works is that the form goes ahead on submission and writes into the CRM and creates an account and a customer, an account and a contact from the information in that form submission, right? And that's where we pass a lot of their specific custom fields, right? Like how many stores do you have? What's your current product mix, right? These certain things that just aren't readily available to capture inside of Shopify. But then also using Zoho Flow, we're able to take the key and kind of limited form information like the name, company, address, and write that directly into Shopify. So that all in one form submission, you have the CRM account that you're able to see kind of the full readout of their information. And then you have them in Shopify in kind of a pending status for approval, waiting for you to check out that CRM record and then go ahead and approve or deny them in Shopify.
This is really good. This is interesting because the Shopify integration out of the box is pretty good, I think, as far as all of the commerce. I mean, we can't currently recommend Zoho Commerce. It's just a little not quite there yet. WooCommerce, while very good, the only real integration with it is a company called Cloud Connectors. It's not all that great. So I think we kind of would prefer when we talk to our customers, if they're going to have any sort of e-commerce, Shopify, I would say, would be our recommendation for them.
Yeah, the only tricky thing with Shopify and the integration into inventory is that it really works best if you create all of your items in Shopify first and then turn the integration on, and that will create those items in inventory for you. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge to bring everything up to speed if you've been using books and inventory for a long time. As commerce gets better and better, I'm excited to be able to recommend that soon. I've definitely seen some improvements as we've been playing around with it with some clients, because that will be the tightest integration possible. But using tools like Flow and Zoho Forms, you're kind of able to fill in some of the gaps with these integrations.
Yeah, and I'd love for commerce. I mean, one of the problems that we see when we have our resource list on the website, we've got the whole yes, maybe, no. Yes being this is best in class, maybe probably going to work for you, but it might not depending on what you've got, and no, probably this Zoho application is really not ready for most people at this point in time. But and there's very few applications there, but commerce is interesting in that it's such a key part sometimes of people's business, right? I mean, especially if they're running it, and it's hard to compete with a company where their entire business is just providing an e-commerce solution. Yeah. I mean, that's all of their resources are plowed into that. And where commerce is getting better, it's one of those things where you really have to look at it on a case-by-case basis and recommend what's going to be best for the client. But, with the standard integration and then these enhanced integrations, I think it's getting us pretty much getting us where we need to be.
You got it.
All right. And then things we noticed, this was interesting. Copy customization, for those of you that don't know. If you have built out an entire CRM and you've got all your layouts done across your accounts and you've got all your workflows and all this kind of things done, there's a process you can do called the copy customization, which allows you to make a carbon copy of your CRM into a brand new Zoho instance. And we see this from time to time with clients that want to spin off another company and they basically love the way their CRM is set up and they just want to duplicate it. We actually had one recently where We had two people who were friendly competitors, and the one person said, this other person can actually just have a complete copy of my CRM. And it's really nice, but one of the issues that you always had with it is if you ever had any plugins, the plugins would copy over. They would say they were copied over, and they would say they were installed, but they wouldn't work, and they'd be completely broken. And so Zoho kind of fixed that, Tyler.
Yeah, and the way that they fixed it is by having you uninstall all of the plugins inside of the CRM that you're copying from before you make that copy customization. And so I guess this was a workaround to prevent any bugs from happening. But the issue is that, if you've got a lot of different plugins installed, and even we actually saw it on the Zoho survey integration as well. You had to turn that off in the destination that you're copying to. That, it kind of causes a little bit of a hiccup there because you have to uninstall everything and reinstall them. I almost don't know. I think it would almost be better if they copied over to the new one and just broke there so that you could uninstall them from the destination rather than the source. Right?
Yeah, or just say these plugins are not going to copy to the
don't copy them.
Yeah, we're not going to copy any plugins. Here are the plugins you will need to manually install at the new, on the new server. The other thing that happened with this version, with the API migration from version 1 to version 2 at the beginning of the year, is when you did these copy customizations, even though the module wasn't installed, the marketplace module wasn't installed on the new CRM, it thought it was, and it throws up the error that you've got the version 1 API error. There's nothing you can do to get rid of it. You can't install. You can't. So this, I don't know. It's probably, this is something they looked at to solve a problem quickly. Hopefully down the road there's a better solution for it. But for now, I guess at least it's something.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, it is still a lot better than having to recreate your entire CRM
completely,
right, in a new instance. So even if you have to uninstall and reinstall some stuff, that's better than making your 5 custom modules, all your layouts, all your email templates all over again.
Workflows.
So it's still saving you time, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
It's just a little kind of hiccup that we noticed the last time that we did this week.
Yeah. All right. And then this week's reads, we're going to go to... I think this is from Destination CRM, and yes, it is, which is CRM Magazine. We've got the 4 do's and 3 don'ts for closing deals over email. And I read through this, and I really think that the title of this article should be, Here's How You Write an Email. Because this really applies to any business email, has nothing to do with closing deals whatsoever, but it's a good read. And I know it seems to be extremely common sense, but I can tell you the number of unprofessional emails I get, it's pretty amazing. And so anyway, great article. It's by Cheryl Presley, and she's the CEO of a company called Black Pearl Mail, which I want to talk about after you give me your thoughts on this article.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight some of these tips that they have in here around using underhanded subject lines.
Oh, yes.
Because I see these come through, right? A lot of people, they'll go out and they'll look for support email addresses. And we mentioned this in the past, actually, when we were talking about a little script that Zoho put out for closing desk tickets, that it's a really common practice to find a domain like Zenatta.com and just make the assumption that we probably have a support@Zenatta email address, which is a good assumption.
Yep.
And I've seen these come through where, have a subject line like, regarding next steps, right? So if you're in customer service and, you're one of our team members who's looking at a ticket, you're going to see that and assume it's something that you have to check out, right? And then the minute that you pull it up, you see, hey, I don't know this person. Oh, they're trying to sell me something, right? And immediately you're going into spam, right, at that point, and none of your future emails are going to come through. So you've got a couple good little tips and tricks here. I do this next one that they have around re-engaging non-responsive contacts.
Yes.
This one I have to say, I don't know if I agree with. They basically give you an example is that you could send an email that says, hey, I haven't heard back from you. Is it because A, you're not interested, B, you love our service but don't need anything, or C, you just don't have time to email, right? And I'll check back in tomorrow. And they have this whole line where it's like, if I don't hear back, I'll assume it's C and I'll email you tomorrow. And that to me is a little, I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I get that people are going to miss emails sometimes and you want to check back in. It seems like you're setting a little bit of a trap there, where even if they don't respond because they're not interested, you're still going to email them more.
I kind of agreed with it up until the very last line. If I don't hear back, I'll email you back tomorrow kind of thing. I have gotten these, and I actually they do somehow get a response out of me because I just want to get the person, either done or over with or finished kind of thing.
Yep.
And assuming it's not spam, it's someone I've engaged with, it's kind of nice. I mean, one of the things I think that happens in our society, because we are overwhelmed, is we oftentimes don't give the common courtesy of telling someone, hey, sorry, it's not going to happen. Right? And we string them on for the longest period of time. It's nice when people can just be, you know what, I am super busy and I do want to do this, but let's talk in 6 months kind of thing, or, you get a real honest answer. But this is kind of interesting. I'll tell you the other part that I thought was interesting about this is the company, which is Black Pearl Mail. You talk about, you find an article, you read the article. In the first place, I read the headline here, which is designed to make you email smart. And I couldn't, was that supposed to be your email smart? But I think it is you email smart.
Yeah, well, it's a dash, email smart.
Yes.
Like your book smart,
yes.
Your email smart.
Yeah, but it's so grammatically ambiguous that I thought that's they probably should change that headline.
It's the former English major in you coming out there.
It's just... Yes, I'm not sure. Grammatically ambiguous. I like that. I don't know. But it integrates with Office 365, G Suite Exchange, and more. But what an interesting service. It really is all around your signature management, email insights. There's no pricing, though. It doesn't appear to be SaaS-based. But I want to kind of check this out. It's got some really cool features. I mean, there's nothing spectacular here, but it looks like they've built an entire business, it looks like, around making sure your email's completely cleaned up, right? So I don't know, might be worth taking a look at.
There's a lot of these companies popping up with different email tech. It's such a core part of everyone's workflow during the day that find a good tool like that and it'll go a long way for you.
Yeah, and then the other article, I just keep wanting to bring this up. I put the link in here, but HubSpot has basically, they've got this complete dashboard now, which is their COVID-19 marketing and sales benchmark data dashboard. And we've talked about this many times in the past. And what this is looking at is how have things changed since COVID? And they're just looking into their CRM and they're aggregating the data. How many new deals have been closed? Are they up or down? How many deals have been created? Are they up or down? Ad spends, conversations, marketing emails. And I think we didn't check in on this last week, so it'd been a couple weeks, but I thought it was worth checking out. It appears that deal creation as of last week, the 8th, it was only down 3% over the baseline of where it was. And it looks like the closing rate was only down about 4%. So if you take that from the kind of the low, which was really at the beginning of April, where closed deals were down 36% and new deal creation was down 30%, I am liking the trend line, right? I mean, there was a kind of an odd little dip in closed deals, in mid-May, but it looks like things are trending back to normal.
Well, that'd be ideal. And of course, like as we had it the last time, there's a whole bunch of different metrics that you can check out on this report as well, like how many emails are being sent versus opened, calls being placed, web traffic. We're still seeing that trend with way more emails being sent and way less emails being opened.
And calls are way down.
But don't be relying on emails right now because everyone's kind of trending that way.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. One of the things I thought was interesting was ad spend. Ad spend is way down. It's off. It's 10 to 15%, as high as 20% during kind of the peak of this. So people are kind of pulling back. So pretty interesting. Anyway, I wanted to point that out. We've got the link in the show notes, and if you're watching the video, you can see them. But this is kind of interesting, I think, for me to track what's actually been going on and maybe where we're going. And I kind of like the trend. So seem to be heading in the right direction. Alrighty, and over at Zenatta.com, we've got a couple new blogs, Build Great Teams with Zoho Recruit, and we've got a little overview we built on Zoho Biggin, which is our brand new Zoho application, which is for small businesses. So it starts at $9 per user per month. It's very much like a pipe drive, I think, if you want to compare it to other CRMs.
Kind of a lightweight, Kanban-driven CRM.
I had someone ask about it the other day, and I went in and kind of did a demo on the fly, and I have to say, they are making daily improvements to it, and the integrations with it are getting, they now have telephony, and you've got full email integration, and you've got campaigns integration and desk integration. I'm like, okay, guys, so I really just think I'd love for them to take the prettiness of what they did with Biggin and move it over to standard CRM.
Gosh, I would love that Kanban board. Oh man, I would love that Kanban in the CRM.
If nothing else, allow the it's funny. Zoho CRM Kanban boards, we've talked about them. I don't want to belabor how bad they are, but you don't really have them for tasks. That's the crazy thing.
Yep.
You can do it for deal, but most people want to do them for tasks.
Yep.
And it's just there's so much there. So come on, Zoho. You can do it.
We believe in you. You built a beautiful Kanban. Just copy paste.
Yes.
I know it's more complicated than that, but gotta be nice.
Yep. And we have been scouring the web, and we now have come up with module 9 of the Zoho admin guide, which is data administration. And we've also got module number 2. So we now have modules number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Zoho CRM admin guide, and 9. We're still searching for 6, 7, and 8.
If anyone's got them.
Well, there are others too.
Send
We actually found the syllabus, if you will, which lists all the modules and everything that's in the modules. And so we're scouring high and low to try to find these. These were only from last year. Anyway, great stuff. So we're putting those up. Those were all up there, and we've completely reorganized our entire resources page. Really, really happy with it. So if you want to take a look at that, it's coming along. We've got some more videos that will be coming here soon, but pay attention to the resources page. We got reviews, great articles. So if we look at the CRM, there's so many assets. Currently right now, what are we looking at? We've got, it looks like 70, 80 assets.
Yeah, about 70.
31 articles just on CRM, 16 guides, and 25 different videos. So, check it out. We think you'll find it to be useful, and that's just zenatta.com/resources. And moving on here to our application of the week. This one is pretty cool, Tyler.
Yeah, there's actually one that you found here around doing some auto completion with addresses. So a common problem that a lot of people will run into is bad address information, right? It just takes one typo or one little, skipping the boulevard, skipping street when you write in an address. And then if you ever go to try to ship something out to that person, you just don't have all the info you need. So Brett, you kind of set out to find a little plugin here that could do that job for some people. Yeah,
well, we had a client who specifically wanted these, and this one only came out about 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. I want to say May 2nd. Actually, it's called the Address Type Ahead extension for Zoho CRM, and it actually was released on May 3rd, 2020. The developer, I think, is Malfine. I think Ukrainian, a good guy, actually. I emailed back and forth with him. I had some questions around setting it up, but I really like this. So, if you're watching on the video, give you a kind of a quick overview of it, but I'm in a fake record here called Joe Jackson, and, there's no address information. And this extension actually shows up when you click the edit button. And as soon as you hit edit, you get a little address button here. And if you click it, it goes ahead and it brings up a Google map, and then you can drag a pin around to get the address. So it does a couple of things. So let's say I wanted to type in 1003rd Street in San Francisco. Great, I'll take that. That's the address. You can just start typing the address, and it starts filling it in and gives you the choices, just like you would see if you're in Google Maps. And you just say, yep, that's it. You select a little checkbox. It does a couple things. It also gives you the longitude and latitude. So if you want to do some serious GPS matching, it's going to do that. But then it also drops it into the address field down at the bottom. Now, it handles things slightly differently. So if you are in a account, it's going to put it in the shipping address. If you're in contacts, it's going to put it in other addresses. deals, vendors, and sales orders, it's going to drop it into the shipping address. But, very easy. Zoho gives you a button. So if you wanted to copy something over to the mailing address, you can easily do that, make whatever changes you want. But pretty nice extension. I also like his pricing. He's charging $39. So no monthly fee, just buy it, you own it. The only other thing I'll say about this, though, is you do need to go ahead and go get an account with Google Developers Console. It doesn't cost anything. Anybody can have one. And Google charges, what did we say? It was 0.2% for 1,000.
0.2 for 1,000. No, 0.2 cent
per API.
Per search.
Like $2 1,000. Something like that, right? And that's a lot. So you can
we're not mental math gurus.
No. Math is hard.
Calculators.
Math is hard, dude. But anyway, you'll have to do that. You have to turn on the Maps API, the Places API, and the Geocoding API. It literally takes a second. You get that API key. That's all you have to have. Once you install it, you do need that Google API key. But once you do that, it's pretty nice. Straight lookups. I love it. I can't say enough about it. It's simple. It's clean. It just works. And our tip and trick comes from Zoho, and it's called Decluttering Your Cloud Storage. And it's folders, naming conventions, tagging, delete and repeat, basically. It's a quick little article. More and more people, though, we're talking to, they're getting ready to move and migrate from whatever source they're on to Google Work Drive, because Google Work Drive is really improved.
Or Zoho Work Drive.
I'm sorry, Zoho Work Drive or Google Work Drive, you choose. But yeah, so they're going to move to Zoho Work Drive, and it's a process to do that. But one of the things you may want to do prior to that move is clean up your data. And so there's some real basic tips here. One of them you can't do. I mean, you can move all your files into folders, easy. File versioning, always a good idea, but this is just basic naming conventions, right? Do you have good naming conventions for your files? But then it's add structure to your storage, and this is strictly a Work Drive thing. This is what we talked about earlier, where you can have all this automation around tagging. And kind of deep filing of your, you can have data templates that, kind of tag all your stuff for you. And that's a Work Drive only thing. But, and then delete, reorganize, and repeat basically over and over again. But, this is some common sense stuff about, hey, maybe you should just clean up your stuff ahead of time. I do think there are a lot of people that don't use folders properly. And it's kind of important as you're cleaning everything up to make sure your data is a little pristine, especially prior to a migration.
Yeah, that's definitely because it's going to be, if you've been using Google Drive for a couple of years, it's going to be easier for you at first to be working in Google Drive. So doing that cleanup, getting everything nice, then migrating it so that you have a nice, clean, and organized system when you're learning Work Drive for the first time.
All right, and that's a wrap. If you've got questions or comments, be sure to send them to us over at info@zenatta.com, or just head over to zenatta.com and click on Drop Us a Line.
And as always, on the website is where you'll find complete show notes as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. You can follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.